Call of midwinter, when America glows. America has a strange glow in December, you've seen it, from the smallest town in Alaska to the neon heartbeat of New York City. Christmas lights flicker like fireflies trapped in the cold. Streets become rivers of gold. Windows shimmer with stars. Even the darkest winter nights feel warmer, like the whole nation is wrapped in a giant electric blanket. Most people see it as holiday spirit, a mood, a tradition, something comforting. But what if I told you? It's older than that, much older, long before Christmas became a holiday, before Christianity took root, before the first settlers reached American shores, there were rituals. Winter rituals. Ancient ones, rituals meant to protect humanity from something real. This isn't the story of Christmas as you know it, this is the story of the ancients of winter. And how the most cheerful holiday in America might still be influenced by spirits that walked long before the first church bells ever rang. So sit back. Because this story resets everything you think you know about December, let's begin with the one thing you think you're certain about, the Christmas tree, the evergreen that never sleeps. Every December, nearly 35 million American families bring a pine tree into their living room. They decorate it. They light it. They place gifts beneath it, but few know the truth. The Christmas tree isn't American, it's not Christian, and originally it wasn't even a decoration, it was a guardian. Thousands of years ago, deep in northern Europe, where winters lasted so long that entire villages sometimes vanished under snow, people believed the world wasn't just cold during winter. It was haunted. They spoke of night spirits, entities that moved through the freezing dark, searching for warmth, life, breath. According to their stories, only one thing kept these spirits away, a tree that stayed alive when everything else died, the evergreen, not just a plant, a protector, the tree that never sleeps. While other trees shed their leaves and surrendered to the season, evergreens stayed vibrant. They didn't wither. They didn't weaken. They didn't bow to the dark. Villagers believed that the evergreen wasn't resisting winter by accident, it was fighting it, so they cut branches and placed them above doors, believing the tree's life force would form a barrier. Some tribes even brought entire small trees inside the home, not for beauty, but for survival. Centuries later, when European settlers crossed the ocean to the New World, they carried this belief with them. America, with its endless forests and brutal winters, became the perfect place for the old tradition to evolve. Eventually the meaning softened, twisting into the Christmas symbol we know today, cheerful, cozy, harmless. But even now, ask almost any American child, why do we put up a tree? They'll say something like, it protects the house. It keeps the good Christmas magic in. They don't know where they learned that, but they're not wrong, because if the evergreen was the guardian, the winter god it served was far more terrifying. And that brings us to the figure Americans think they know best, a man in red, the Red Rider before Santa. Every year, American children wait for Santa Claus, a chubby, cheerful man in a glowing red suit, flying through the sky with reindeer. But the Santa Americans celebrate is new, a baby version of a being that was once older, darker, and far more primal. Before Santa existed, before Christianity spread north, the tribes of Scandinavia spoke of a winter god who traveled on the darkest night. They called him the Red Rider, not a man, not a saint, not a symbol, a hunter of spirits. He was said to ride an 8-legged horse, its hooves striking sparks against frozen ground. His cloak glowed like the dying winter sun, blood red, smoldering, impossible to ignore against the snow. Legends say his eyes could burn through storms. He didn't bring gifts, he brought judgment. He visited homes not to delight children, but to assess them. to see who respected winter's spirits and who mocked them. Villagers didn't leave him cookies and milk, they left bowls of oats, carved wooden toys, and pieces of winter bread, offerings meant to appease him, because if you didn't respect the Red Rider, he wouldn't punish you himself, he would leave your home unprotected, and on the solstice night, that meant death. This wasn't a sweet folklore tale, it was a survival ritual. So how did this terrifying winter deity end up as the happy Santa Americans adore? The answer lies in what happened when Europeans crossed the ocean, and something strange started happening in the American wilderness. When the Red Rider crossed the SEA, when Dutch settlers brought Santa Claus, British settlers brought Father Christmas, and Nordic lore brought Odin the Wanderer, something unexpected happened. The legends didn't replace each other, they fused. The new world was dark, cold, and vast. Forests swallowed sound. Snowstorms erased entire roads. People were isolated, scared, vulnerable, and during those first winters, settlers began reporting bizarre sightings, a crimson figure gliding between snow-covered trees, hoofprints on rooftops with no animal in sight, a bell sound echoing across empty fields, a shadow crossing the moon. Long before any child believed in Santa Claus, these were educated, practical men and women, farmers, hunters, trappers. They weren't telling children stories, they were documenting events that terrified them. Many believed the Red Rider hadn't been left behind in Europe, they believed he had followed them, or perhaps, he had always existed in America, because indigenous tribes in the northern regions had their own stories, of a winter guardian, red-cloaked, riding a spirit animal across the sky. A being who protected good families and punished cruel ones, different name, same description, same patterns, same judgment. It was almost as though this winter guardian was universal, a force every culture encountered when winter came. But America is where his identity changed forever, and the turning point began with one child, the first American sighting. The earliest known Santa sighting in America wasn't cheerful. It wasn't magical, it wasn't even meant for children. It came from a winter diary written in 1692 by a man living near Albany, New York. He described waking to the sound of snow crunching outside his cabin. Inside, his young daughter insisted she saw a tall man in a red cloak standing between the pines. She said he wasn't human, his lantern didn't glow like fire, she said it flickered like the northern lights, shimmering blue, gold, and green. The father searched the woods, there were no footprints, but the next morning, a carved wooden horse appeared on the girl's windowsill, not American wood, European pine. This was long before gift-giving was part of any American Christmas tradition. This was before Santa was ever drawn on paper or mentioned in a book. The family believed it was a good omen, the settlement believed it was a warning, but the legend spread, and over the next 2 centuries, something strange happened. The Red Rider stopped being feared, children stopped hiding from him, parents stopped leaving offerings, his image softened, his power blurred, his role shifted, and by the 1800s, he had become Santa Claus. But the ancient spirit never fully disappeared, he only changed costumes. From fear to joy, once American culture reshaped the Red Rider into Santa, everything changed. Fear became fun, offerings became cookies, judgment became generosity. His flaming winter horse became reindeer. But if the Red Rider evolved into Santa, what happened to his purpose, protecting humanity from winter spirits? The answer is hidden in a tradition almost every American celebrates without knowing why: the burning log in the fireplace, the Yule fire and the sun spirit. In American homes, a fireplace on Christmas Eve feels cozy, a background decoration. But ancient people believed the fire wasn't symbolic, it was a weapon, in the darkest time of year, When food ran out and cold killed quickly, tribes believed the world was losing a cosmic battle. The sun was dying. Darkness was winning. To help the sun fight back, they burned a massive piece of wood, the Yule log, not decoration, not tradition, plea. They believed the fire's glow summoned the sun spirit, pushing back the creatures of the longest night. When the flames rose, people felt safe. When the flames dimmed, they prayed. Modern Americans don't know the old words or rituals, but the instinct survived. Even today, millions of families insist on having just a little fire on Christmas Eve, even if it's warm outside, even if they never use the fireplace the rest of the year. Something deep inside remembers. But fire wasn't the only thing ancient cultures feared on winter nights, because the coldest night of the year wasn't just physical. It was supernatural, the night of ghosts. We tend to think ghost stories belong to Halloween, but originally, they belonged to Christmas. Ancient Europeans believed the winter solstice was when the veil between worlds thinned, when the dead wandered freely. When settlers told these stories around American hearths, families started doing something odd. They told ghost stories on Christmas Eve. It wasn't just a pastime. It was preparation. Children were taught that the Christmas spirit was watching them, not metaphorically, but literally. A real entity that moved through the house, waiting to bless or punish. And even today, we feel it, that strange stillness on Christmas Eve. The way the air seems to thicken, the sense that something is present, even when the house is quiet, that eerie feeling that you're being observed, gently, but undeniably. Modern culture turned this into a positive idea: angels, holiday magic, peace. But the original belief was more primal. Christmas Eve wasn't quiet because it was peaceful. It was quiet because something ancient was walking, watching, judging, and guiding. The star above the tree. Every American knows the ritual. You finish decorating the tree, you step back, you lift a wooden, plastic, or crystal star, and place it on top, a symbol of Bethlehem, right? Not originally, thousands of years before Christianity. Civilizations across Europe worshipped a blazing winter star. To the Celts, it was the eye of the winter god; to the Romans, the star of victory; to the Norse, the lantern of the ancestors. It wasn't a symbol of birth, it was a symbol of guidance, a light to help the lost return home, physically and spiritually. When settlers brought the ritual to America, it blended into the Christian tradition. But the original instinct behind the star remains. On the darkest night, we lift a light higher than anything else. It's ancient human programming, and the question modern scholars are asking is this: why did every culture, separated by oceans, invent the same winter rituals? Maybe because they were all responding to the same thing. The winter spirits still walk America. Anthropologists say rituals don't survive thousands of years by accident. Humans forget almost everything, except what helps them survive. So why did winter rituals survive? Because something kept happening. And even today, Americans report strange events: a shadow moving across a snowlit roof, bells ringing with no source, a sudden warmth in a freezing room, the feeling of being watched. Yet comforted, footprints appearing near Christmas trees, lights flickering precisely at midnight, children hearing soft footsteps when no one is awake. People assume it's imagination, holiday excitement. Coincidence? But what if it's the old guardians, still walking, still watching, still making sure the solstice night passes safely? What if we're not celebrating Christmas? What if Christmas is celebrating us? The ritual continues. Every December in America, trees glow, fires burn, stars shine, ghost stories whisper, bells echo, children watch the sky, and the Red Rider, the ancient winter guardian, crosses the night once more. Not out of fear, not out of anger. But because the world still needs him, because winter, in all its beauty, is still dangerous, still powerful, still alive, so the next time you hear bells in the snow, or feel warmth in a cold room, or see the Christmas lights flicker, don't brush it off. Remember what your ancestors knew, remember what the settlers saw, remember the stories that every culture once shared. On Christmas Eve, you are not alone, you are participating in a ritual older than America, older than Christianity, older than the written word, a ritual shaped by spirits who walked through ages of ice and fire, spirits who protected humanity long before we ever built cities or hung ornaments. You are honoring the ancients of winter, and somewhere out there, a red-cloaked figure still rides across the midnight sky, watching, guarding, waiting for the cold to break, because as long as winter returns, so will he.